Hello, happy Sunday. All right. Happy beginning of the week or end of the week, whichever way you like to see it. All right, so you are live with me if you see this red tag. If you don't see the red tag, then that means that you are watching the replay. If you're watching the replay, just hit hashtag replay. If you are here with me live, please say hello when you hop on. So before I get into anything, what I will do is I will wait a moment, hoping that you get the notification that I'm live, and then I will get started. So I'll wait just a minute. In the meantime, I'm going to share this in a couple of groups, and if you would please also hit the share button as well. And I'm so grateful that you are here with me. So wonderful. So as you hop on, just please say hello so that I know you're here. All right. It's so funny. I say this every time, but it's so funny to see myself on my phone and it's totally delayed. Hi, Tam. I just saw part of your message. Hi, Lydia. All right. So if you're here, please say hi so I know you're here. I don't like to call anybody out until they say hello to me. That is something that I had learned. I think it's just etiquette. I can see you, but I don't call you out until you say hello to me. So that's something that I have changed recently. So, okay, welcome. I'm so excited that you are here. We're going to talk about a couple of things. This is going to be extremely educational and informative. Hey, Dave, how are you? So glad you're here. So this is going to be super educational and informative for you. We're going to talk about you're going to learn some things about me. Hey, Jen, I'm going to share with you my journey, what it's looked like. I'm completely transparent. I don't hide anything. That is definitely one thing about me that most of you probably already know. I've grown to that. It's something that I have felt that the more transparent that I am, the more value I can provide to people, because I felt, you feel like a fraud in other words, if you're not, right? Okay, so let's rock and roll. I'm ready to go. So we're going to talk about not only macros, but we're going to talk about intuitive eating as well as biofeedback, so that you can kind of see the contrast in the two, why they are important, why you do need to understand both, and kind of the process with that as well. So not only are you going to learn about macros, what they are, what it all means. I know that you've been watching my journey. If you're here, I've been getting a lot of messages. Here's the funny thing. I swear, I've been working on the Power of 3, which is this program that I just soft launched. That's what they call it. When you don't put it out to the public, but you launch it to like your community, which I have. And in the Power of 3 program, this is a whole side note, but we'll talk about this a little bit. But in the Power of 3 program, I don't do macros because macros is extremely individualized, and you really have to, have knowledge on it. And it's if I coach on it, I have to one-on-one coach, right? But also in the meantime, I had posted about my results with macros, and it's just been interesting and fascinating because intuitive and biofeedback has led me to the journey in the macros. Does that make sense? And so I've really done very, very well with macros, and I am so excited to share with you some insight on it. So, okay. So anyway, that's just kind of a side note, but it all was weird. I guess what I was getting at was the timing of everything. I did not realize that my program was going to be ready literally on New Year's Day. So it kind of all I don't know, it was just kind of crazy. But anyway, thank you all who have, have hopped on board with that. And we'll talk about that as well. Hi, Deb. Hi, Lydia. Hi, Denise. So glad you're here. Okay. So crash course, let's get to it. You guys are like, okay, Kelly, okay, let's just get to the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, so here's the thing. Macros is, I'm going to go off my notes. I wrote these notes for you guys, 5 or 6 pages here. I sat down this afternoon and just went to work. Okay, so I'm going to look down a lot. All right, macros, excellent for changing body composition and performance. What is body composition? What is performance? Body composition is your body fat. It is your muscle, right? So the composition, meaning if you hear people say you shouldn't really pay attention to the scale, which I'm a big fan of, you really should pay attention to your measurements. That is body composition. What is performance? What am I referring to? Performance meaning in the gym per se, but also performance meaning how you feel and how you function and how you perform on a daily basis. Hi, Rhonda, I just saw you. I feel like, oh my God, I miss Rhonda, and I felt like I needed to say hi. Okay, so excellent for change in body composition and performance, okay? So here's the thing. A major problem a lot of people fall into, as well as I did for many, many years, is the exercise more, eat less model. People think, I need to lose weight. Let me do some math. Okay, 1,200 calories is probably the standard that I hear. I hear that number. I hear people say 1,200 calories. You shouldn't eat any less than 1,200 calories, so I better just go with 1,200 calories. Not enough, okay? You think that you need to create a deficit. You automatically think, I need to create a deficit without really doing any other research or having other data to support that number, okay? And so people think, okay, I'm just going to go 1,200 calories, no rhyme or reason. As long as I get 1,200 calories, no more, then I should be losing weight. And I'm going to exercise every single day, no excuses. Do you see that? Do you see those posts, especially around the first of the year? People get delusional. They have these crazy expectations they put on themselves. And then guess what? A week or two in, they're pissed and they're frustrated because nothing is happening. I will tell you why. Because nobody is thinking of hormones. Nobody is thinking of intention and purpose when it comes to their caloric intake. I eat with intention and purpose. Everything I consume, there is an intention and a purpose behind it. There's a reason why I'm eating that. There's a reason why I'm eating it at that time. Do you see? It's not like I say, oh, I've got 2,000 calories to eat, so I'm just going to eat, okay, I'll have 500 in pizza, and then I'll have these bag of chips, and then you know what? Maybe I should have some grapes. That sounds good. You know what I'm saying? It's like you have to have more of a specific breakdown. That's what I have learned. And that took me a long time to learn. That's this education that I have now. I am a certified hormonal and fat loss coach with also 25 years of personal training experience, retired. However, I am now getting certified in macro coaching because I just went through this whole process. And we're probably going to be on here for a little while. So get your pen and paper out because you're going to hear a lot of stuff. So I went through this process, and in the course of it, I thought, this is changing my life. This can absolutely 1,000% change the lives of my clients and the community that so supports me, and I'm so grateful for. Okay, so macros. What is a macro? Macro means macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fat. Okay, so just kind of bear with me because we're going to talk about intuitive eating, and we're also going to talk about biofeedback because that is a huge thing as well. Okay. All right. So let's see, where did I leave off here? So I believe the whole exercise more, eat less, and I kind of feel bad because as a trainer, I used to say that to people, we got to create a deficit. We got to exercise more. You got to eat less. And I'm like, oh my God, now I feel horrible because I feel like I am part to do with damaging their metabolism because that's exactly what that does. Okay. Truth is, it doesn't work. Hold on one second. Blake just distracted me. Blake, yeah. I'm live. I need to stay focused. So as soon as I'm done, you guys can go on the, what is that thing called? The console that they just got. Okay. So truth is, it doesn't work. Hold on. What did I say here? Oh, about the exercise more, eat less. Sorry. So the truth is about that, it doesn't work and it will not help your performance. So if you're looking to hit it hard in the gym and you're reducing calories, it's not in alignment. So it's kind of like when I say in alignment, what it means is, let's say, for example, my expectations are here, but I am not putting in what needs to be done as far as to get that accomplished. Hold on a second. I'm going to have to step away for a second. You have to go upstairs. Colin, come on.
I want to watch him play.
Colin.
I want to watch him play. Mama.
Blake, you got to go upstairs.
Why?
Take that upstairs because now he's down here. I can't have you guys down here. Please.
Colin,
He wants to watch you, so just do that. Okay, upstairs.
Can I watch Colin play on TV?
Upstairs. Okay.
Please.
So sorry about that, you guys. It's like crazy madness. I told him, like, I'm going live. I can't be disrupted. But sometimes Blake doesn't like to follow the rules, you know? Okay, so exercise more, eat less model, it doesn't work because that's like, it's like putting a math problem in with your diet and nutrition, right? Okay, so intuitive eating, so we're going to talk about that next. So intuitive eating is about eating when you're hungry, eating when you, when I call it HEC, which is your hunger, energy, and cravings. So intuitive eating is all about listening to your body, listening if your stomach is actually hungry. You know, is the ghrelin hormone telling you, hey, it's time to eat. We need food. So your stomach will growl. Okay. So your intuition, obviously, you know, most people want to move into that. So I will tell you my journey and how, you know, that worked for me. So I was somebody that was all wrapped into numbers. I was very heavily into the dieter's mindset. And what that means is I was somebody that was like, well, I screwed up. I had a goldfish cracker, or I ate a cookie, or I had a bite of pizza. It's not perfect anymore. You know, that whole mindset, I'm on the wagon, I'm off the wagon, I'm in, I'm out. If it's not perfect, then it's a shit show. It's like, you know, there's no middle in between. It's like it has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, then we just go all off and we're, you know, just in a tizzy with everything. Nothing, you know, there's no rhyme or reason. It's like, oh, I'll just start over on Monday. You know, the whole dieter's mindset, start over syndrome, it all kind of ties in together. So I was that person, and I would eat a potato and I would exercise 3 times a day. We're talking, this is like in my 20s, and I was like, you know, kind of cuckoo, because a lot of what we do has everything to do with what's manifested up here. These old beliefs, these old stories that we're operating under in this operating system. And boy, oh boy, was that kind of screwball back then. So it was really, really a bad situation. And so I was very obsessive. Like, there is a story that my girlfriend probably talks about to this day. And she talks about how she was like, we were sitting there at dinner, and I specifically told the waiter, do not bring the breadstick with the salad. He brought the breadstick with the salad, and I ripped his head off. Now, why did I rip his head off? Because I personally didn't feel like I would have the self-control to not eat the breadstick, right? So that was terrible of me to scream at him, but it just goes to show you how ridiculous that was. Now, I was so brainwashed in that, you know, where I should have just, here, can you please take this and, you know, be done with it. But that's where I kind of was back then. And I've worked my way into, okay, learning how to get more in tune with my body, really understanding what the needs are, and understanding, okay, so when am I hungry? Am I really hungry? You know, I do this finger pinch. So this is something that you could use as well. I take the pointer and the thumb, and I ask myself the question, are you hungry? Is your stomach growling? Do you need a hug? Are you thirsty? Are you just tired? Are you just bored? Were you just triggered by something? You know, triggers and habit loops, that's another big thing as well. You know, triggers are huge. You know, you could be somebody that drinks wine and has popcorn every single night at 8 o'clock watching Netflix. And then every time Netflix comes on, no matter what or where you are, you're going to want popcorn and wine. And it could be in the morning. You know what I'm saying? So triggers and habit loops, you know, that's a really huge thing. But I guess what I want to say is when it comes to biofeedback and intuitive eating, that's important too, because you really need to understand your body. You need to understand, you know, foods that work for you and foods that don't. You need to understand on a cellular level, is this harming me or helping me? Does this make me tired or does this give me energy? Instead of somebody saying, here's some numbers, break down your protein, carbs, and fat, here you go. And then you're just kind of like eating whatever. So I always feel like, you know, that kind of is a nice step to go in. So if you're somebody that is already familiar with, hey, you know what, gluten doesn't serve me well. When I have it, I feel tired. I get puffy pockets under my eyes, you know, that kind of thing. You know, moving into a macro type of lifestyle could be for you. It's not for everybody. Trust me, if you were the former Kelly Dunlap, who is crazy psycho about the damn breadstick and working out 3 times a day, and, you know, everything has to be perfect, on, off, in or out, you know, macro might not be for you, because if it could make you even more cuckoo. So it was kind of funny. When I started the macros, it was because I had had a baby. I was 9 months postpartum. Nothing was changing, even with everything that I knew. I was like, why am I stuck? What is going on? Oh my God, I feel like a fraud. I can't even help myself, And so I was like, there's got to be something. So my business coach at the time had, he owns a macro nutrition company. So I said, listen, I don't want you to be my macro coach, but I need one of your macro coaches. And then that's when everything changed. My whole life changed. Everything changed. And I was like, oh, this is so good. I got to get certified in this, right? And so when I got back into this, I thought, is this going to trigger me into the old Kelly Dunlap psycho ways? We're going back to numbers. We're going back to weighing and measuring. We're going back to these, this whole way. I already divorced this boyfriend. I got rid of that guy, in my mind. Like I got rid of that yucky feeling. But then when I got into it, I thought, you know what? I have evolved. I know my body. I'm in a better place in my mind. I don't care what the scale says, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background, because I had to go through a refeed, and we're going to talk about that because most people will have to go through a refeed, because most of us, and I would guarantee 99.9% of the people in this group would probably have to go through a refeed as well. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. All right. So we just talked a little bit about that. If you have questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, but I will not direct my attention to them until at the end, okay? Okay, so, all right, so here I talk about in my notes about how I feel biofeedback is a way to begin the first step from getting away from the exercise more, eating less model, okay? So exercise more, eat less, we need to get rid of that. Then let's move into like intuitive stuff, and this is stuff that I coach on as well. I'm not just a macro coach. I'm a lifestyle and nutrition coach. I specialize in the dieter's mindset. I specialize in helping women to balance their hormones so they can lose fat, have more energy, and curb their cravings, okay? And it all encompasses, it all kind of fits together. Like I have some clients that have moved from the intuitive biofeedback eating into macros because we felt that it was time. We felt that it was a graduation for them. I also have people that are just macro people and they just want numbers. That's it. And I'm totally okay with that. Okay, so here we go. All right, I got terrible writing. You want to see my handwriting? My sister always says I have the handwriting of a kindergartner. Okay. All right. Most people have a terrible relationship with food, and this is a way to really get in tune to figure out what foods speak to you on a cellular level. Okay. So that's what I just talked about. So I know that there are a lot of people out there, and I'm a huge fan of this. Don't get me wrong. I'm not here to, talk shit about anybody that goes back to the Whole30 or the paleo, but there's a lot of people that tend to go in those directions, which is fine. They serve a purpose, but I want to teach you how to be, more of a detective. And a detective means that you are listening to that biofeedback, that you are listening to your own body, that you are getting in tune with that. So that's what I mean by all of that. So my Power of 3 program is actually something that goes into the intuitive eating. And we'll talk about that at the end too, because I will be sharing some information with you about the Power of 3. So the Power of 3 is about nutrition, the 3 pillars: nutrition, exercise, and supplementation. Okay, so that's why I called it the Power of 3. Those are the 3 lifestyle principles that I live by, and that's why I wanted to create that program. Okay, so Power of 3, the nutrition aspect in there is not macros. It is intuitive and biofeedback. Okay, macros is extremely individualized, extremely, and in my recommendation, you need a coach, because I certainly would have never gotten where I am with my macros if I didn't have him. Okay, but we're going to talk about that. But I'm going to give you formulas on how you can try to figure out your own. But if you feel like, hey, you know what, I need more, then you can always come back to me. All right, so here we go. My Power of 3, I help you figure out your carbohydrate tipping point, through trial and error, through the amount of starches that you eat. Now, when I mean starch, I'm just talking about higher glycemic index type food. Now, some people might understand glycemic index. I also call it insulin index. So it's basically, I help you to keep your blood sugar level all day long instead of doing this all day long. And then you have that 3 o'clock, I'm so tired. You know what I'm saying? So, hi, Amber. So the Power 3 basically, or intuitive eating basically helps you to, tap into all of that. So we want to find our tipping point when it comes to carbohydrates. And, we want to make sure that we are not spiking that insulin, and, we don't want that, because then we get that whole dip down. Okay. So glycemic index basically has everything to do with the rate of absorption when it comes to carbohydrates. That's basically it. So insulin spiking, we don't want that. The only time that we do, quick tip, I will specifically, intentionally, purposefully spike my insulin after a hard workout, because what that does is it will shut off the cortisol. Now that's kind of an advanced tip, but if there are some advanced people here, I wanted you to hear that, okay? So after I get done with a hardcore workout, weight training, running, Orange Theory type of workout, high glycemic type of food, spike the insulin, it'll shut off the cortisol, which will put us into, we have the parasympathetic and the sympathetic mode, and that's what we want to do. Okay, so cortisol, it can be our friend, but it can also kind of like not do good for us either. All right, so let's see here. I keep talking about the insulin stuff here. So we want to slow down the absorption and digestion when it comes to food. We want food at an even keel. We want to feel sustained energy. We want to slow our digestion. We want to be fuller longer. We don't want those sugar spikes. The glycemic index, starchy food. So I'm kind of repeating some things. I'm just reading what I have so I don't miss anything. Starchy food, like glycemic index, is tricky because it can be changed by adding food. So like, for example, those of you that are tuned in that are clients of mine, and in the Power of 3 as well, I talk about how you don't eat those foods alone. You don't eat the starchy carbohydrates by themselves. Why? Because it will cause the spike. If you eat it with another food, that's where we're still keeping it even keeled. Do you see what I'm saying? What are some starchy foods? You're probably wondering. There's some that you're eating every day and you think are healthy. And I'm just going to tell you right now, bananas, very high. Pineapple, very high. Mango, pineapple, white rice. But most people don't eat rice alone. Think about that. It's kind of weird. I don't see anybody really eating white rice just by itself. They always have some kind of a protein with it or what have you, right? So what does that do? It dims down that glycemic effect that it would have on you, okay? So there's a lot of foods out there that people are eating thinking, oh, I'm going to have my cup of fruit. I've got bananas, mangoes, and pineapple. And they think that they're doing themselves, they're doing a great job when they're really doing kind of a disservice, okay? So it's things like that. Okay. All right, the style of eating. Okay, I talked about this. My Power 3 will help you get it. Okay, so the style of eating in my Power 3 will help your gut, your autoimmune issues, and those kinds of things, because I do keep it, very simple and clean, and all of that stuff. But there's no meal plans. I don't meal plan. Okay, so I'm not a meal plan person. I don't believe in them. I basically give you foods that I recommend, and I give you these types of tips and telling you, like, okay, so if you have a thyroid issue, this is another big tip for you. If you have a thyroid issue, hence you probably have gut issues. So, all that said too, you want to make sure that you're really watching like your dairy, soy and wheat, that kind of stuff. That affects the gut. The gut ultimately affects the thyroid, so all of that stuff matters. And these are things that nobody's thinking of. Nobody. And a lot of times nobody's sharing with you either. And so this is why I feel like it's my job to make sure that you're getting all this information. Okay. So let me get to the macros. We're getting here. I see that I got the wrong page in order. So let me get this here. Okay. So that's that. All right. Hold on. Okay. I think this is the page that I want here. Okay, I have here, if you're an avid exerciser, just know, let's see, fun for follow. Okay, I said here, if you're an avid exerciser, just know this. I learned this from my friend, and he's also a fellow coach, and I quote, "You can chase health through ingredients, but you cannot chase performance through ingredients." Okay. And what he's basically saying here is, you know, if you are somebody that is like, hey, you know, I just want to feel better and heal my gut, then we do that through ingredients. But if you're somebody that wants to also, you know, maybe have some fat loss and also perform well and have great workouts, then you can't do that through ingredients. You can't do that just, you know, randomly, like, you know, throwing, you know, the sheet to the wind. You really need to have intention and purpose of what you're eating and why and all that. Okay. Okay. So, let me just preface here by saying this, that macros are unbelievable. It's very individual, like it's DNA. Okay. It's hard to give you guys a blanket of, hey, this is what you need to do. I'm going to give you some guesstimations. You can absolutely 1000% throw some numbers together, give them a whirl, you know, and I encourage it. I think some of you are going to be very surprised. You might freak out. You might be like, holy crap, this is where I'm kind of supposed to be, and this is where I've been. So there's some work that you have to do on your end to figure out where you currently are, okay? All right, so part of my coaching involves creating macro prescriptions, and I said that earlier. So it is truly a prescription. Your specific protein, fat, and carbs, and how you distribute that throughout the day. So that's what I do as a macro coach, okay? Most people are in a huge deficit. So now we're going to talk about a refeed, okay? Very fascinating. Catch my breath, because I will tell you, I had to set my notes down because I'm going to share, you know, my little personal story. Okay. So as you know, I came from the, exercise more, eat less model. I, made my clients do that. And I just feel some guilt there, like I have to kind of release that, because I feel like, holy crap, did I help some people damage their metabolism? But you don't know what you don't know. And, I trusted, the knowledge that I had then, and I became a seeker of more knowledge, and that's just who I am. I ended up having a thyroid issue, and I truly 1000% believe that thyroid issue came because I had reduced my carbohydrate intake so much. And that absolutely can happen. I feel that my hormones got screwball because my caloric intake was not in alignment with what I was doing on a daily basis, and the exercise demand that I was putting on my body, the stressors and things like that, right? So most people are in a deficit. Now, when I first started with the macros, my only job was to keep eating the way that I was eating and to log it in MyFitnessPal for 5 days, 5 to 7. I think I did 5. And that's what you are going to want to do as well. So you're going to want to log everything in MyFitnessPal, and in the nutrition little area, which I will show you here. Colin, please. When you open up MyFitnessPal, that's what it looks like. Okay, that's the app. There is a button down here that says diary. I don't know if you can see that. It's right here next to the plus sign. And so when you go into diary, you will be, then you scroll down to the bottom and you click on the button that says nutrition. Now, when you do that, it will give you a breakdown of your protein, hold on. It'll give you a breakdown trying to like protein, carbs, and fat. Those are the only 3 things that you want to worry about, right? And so you're going to want to keep track of that. And then you're going to take an average of that. Okay. So just keep that in mind. So that's going to be like your first step. So here's an example. Let's say Sally Sue submits to me her protein, carbs, and fat. And every single day, this isn't normal, but let's just say she gave me 3 days worth, and it was, she averaged 300 grams of carbohydrates within those 3, and she averaged, I'm just throwing out numbers, okay? And so what you have to do is let me just put it this way. I don't know if you know how to do an average. I can't assume that. So let me just tell you. So let's say day 1, she had 50 grams of protein, 130 grams of carbs, and 20 grams of fat. Day 2, she had 70 grams of protein, 200 carbohydrates, and 35 grams of fat. And then the third day, she had 3 different numbers each. So let's just say we take the protein, we take 1, 2, 3, we take all 3 of those numbers, we add it together. So let's say day 1 was 50 protein, day 2 was 60 protein, and day 3 was 70. So you add those 3 together, then you divide it by 3, and that will give you the average of what that protein intake is. Okay, so you have to do some math. Okay, all right. So when you get your average, then I'm gonna give you some numbers on how to figure out what your calorie intake is, and I'm gonna give you some percentages. Okay, so like I said, make sure you have a piece of paper and a pencil. Okay, so most people are in a huge deficit in periodization, right? So I want to talk about periodization yet. So the huge deficit is what I was talking about. So when I gave my coach my information, I was like, okay, I don't know what to expect. Maybe I'm overeating. I probably thought I was overeating, because most of us do. I'm not losing weight. That must mean I'm overeating. You know, I'm just eating way too many carbs. You know, wasn't that at all. I was averaging 1,400 calories a day. Okay, 1,400 overall calories. According to the calculation, which there is a specific calculation that us coaches have. It's can't think of the name of it, but it's very precise. We take weight in kilograms, and then we do your height in centimeters, and we times it by this and times that and minus this and minus. It's just this overall very involved formula. And I should have been eating 2,000. So what does that mean? It means that I was in a deficit every single day of not eating enough. I was in a deficit of 600 calories a day. 6 times 7 days a week, that's 4,200 calories a week that my body needed that I wasn't giving. So what did I do? Did I wake up the next day and did he give me macros that I needed to eat those additional 600? Absolutely not. We had to refeed me gradually. So we had to increase my calories every week or every other week at a very slow pace. So once again, if you are somebody that is instant gratification and I want results now, this might not be for you if your head isn't there. Okay, your head has to be in the place of, I just want to look better, I want to feel better, I want to do better, I want to up level, I want to just get off of this dieter's mindset bullshit, and I want to give my body what it needs. So my head was there. So I said, okay. He said, don't step on the scale. I said, all right, promise. Because there is a slim chance that you will gain some weight during the refeed. Okay, so what? Who cares? Did I step on the scale? Nope. Maybe I did once. I think I did once, but it was fine. During that 4 months, it was incredible. My body, I was eating more. Okay, it took me 4 months to get to close that deficit. 4 months. Okay, so it's a gradual thing because your body, it adapts. It doesn't want to be, you don't want to refeed it 600 calories right away. You have to gradually increase it by 10 to 15%-ish, somewhere around there. It depends on the person. We had to listen to my biofeedback. We had to, listen to my digestion. We had to, listen to all sorts of things. So there's all these factors. Okay. So 600 calorie deficit took me 4 months to get to what's called the maintenance, meaning to that, I think it was 2,100 calories or something. Okay, now mind you, my macros were shifted all over the place during this time. This is why you have to be patient and you have to really understand this. And this is why it's, where I tell people, listen, if you're interested in macros, I would recommend getting a coach. That's what I did, because if I had to do it on my own, I would have went crazy. And I would have never known when to change my numbers, right? Okay, so here's the deal. I want to give you the fact of the matter is that, okay, so let me just make sure I didn't skip anything. So the refeed, how do we know if you need to be refed? That's what I need to find. I need to find my sheet of paper so that I'm not all over the place. Okay, hold on. These are I want to give you some examples of my personal macros so that you have an idea. Okay, that's that. Okay, this is done. I just want to get rid of papers that I don't need. Okay, so fats. Okay, track macros in an app. Okay, all right, I think this is where I was at. So I said track your macros in an app like the Fitness Pal. Before you set your macros, you need to track to see where you're at. Okay, we already covered that. We talked about do it for 5 to 7 days. Then you need to take an average of where you're at. Okay, now, how do you figure out where you kind of need to be? And this is where I'm going to help you out here. Okay. See, slowly reduce. Okay, now, hold on. If you are, hold on, for your, 1 second, just want to make sure I'm not missing something. Huge deficit recap 12. Okay. So when it comes to the current calories, this is what you need to do. You need to, if you're looking for fat loss, you need to take your current caloric values. So hold on a minute. Let's say you're at 1200. And here, 12, 14, 15 to maintain. Okay, so typically what you want is 30% of your, I just want to make sure I give you guys the right math, because I'm like, wait a minute, I don't want to screw you guys up. So if you have, let's say your average calories was 1200. Now what you want to do is you want to take and times that. Let me just do the math here really quick. 440, 2000. All right, hang on. Sorry, I want to make sure that I give you guys this right information, because I don't want to, because I'm giving you a completely different formula than what I use, because it's simpler. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, wait, where did I put it? Okay, you got your app explained, more slowly reduce. Okay, so you want to take that average. All right, now there's fat loss, there's maintenance, and there's gains. Okay, so there's most of the people in this group, I am certain, are looking for fat loss, right? Okay, so typically 30 to 50% of our calories should come from carbohydrates. Okay, if you are somebody that does frequent training, like weight training and such, then you want to be closer to that 50% when it comes to carbohydrates. However, some people are still, if you're still working on that relationship with food, then going on that higher end is not a really good idea, because that might just be a little bit too much for you. Okay. So, the other thing too, when it comes to carbohydrates is, a lot of times people are like, oh, I got to keep low carbohydrates. Here's the thing. When it comes to carbohydrates, I know that there's a lot of people out there that have demonized it and that are scared of it, and you shouldn't be, because your carbohydrates, they keep your thyroid stimulated. And like I said, I have a feeling that that's why I came down with the thyroid issue. It keeps your metabolism going, and it doesn't burn out your adrenals, because if you're not getting enough carbohydrates, you are 1000% going to burn out your adrenals. You'll get adrenal fatigue, nervous system fatigue, and it will downregulate your hormones. So the carbohydrates is a really, 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 really important factor. Okay, so 30 to 50% of your calories should be that. Now I need to go back, and I don't want to give you. Like I said, there's a simple formula that I need to give you, and I want to make sure that it's correct before I give you that formula to do. So what I will do after this live is I will type it up and I'll put it in the files and say, okay, so this is what you want to do. And then this way you can print it, and then you can say, okay, so this is the math that I need to get done. If you don't train very hard, if it's on the lower end, then you want to stick closer to that 30%. Okay. But like I said, if you're somebody that kind of has a messed up relationship with food, you don't want to automatically go to 50% carbs, because then you're going to be like, oh my God, what is all this? I feel like a stuffed, sausage. Fats, once again, because this is all so individualized, like it depends on the person and what their accomplishments are, and what is their desire, what is it that they want to do. And a lot of my ladies are like me, so I know that I have to keep them at a higher fat macro count. Okay, so you never want to go below 20% fat. The only time that people do that, it's a very temporary thing, and that is for like if they're going to a bodybuilding show, or if they're doing something along those lines, and it's just like maybe for a week or something. So you're only, that's like when they call it dieting down, like if they're doing something specific. Or, a good example would be like if you have somebody like a singer or somebody that is, going to be performing, and she wants to look amazing just to fit into this size 2 for one day. And then the next day, they go right back to normal, and she's not going to fit into that dress again, but she did diet down for that specific day. Okay. So You only go really low if you need, and it's that intention and purposeful. Okay. So typically the average is around 30%, but again, this is so individual that it's extremely hard to do. Okay. Now I will, let me just kind of recap this, but I just want to share with you what my macros have kind of looked like over this period of time. And again, this is just a range of where my macros were from June through December, and I'm still doing macros. Like right now I'm in a refeed. And a refeed means that I just came out of a 12-week reduction. Okay. And now we're giving my body a break. We're giving my body that refeed. We're giving it more calories. We're making sure that my hormones don't go all crazy. We're making sure that we're not ruining my metabolism. And so the refeed will probably last another 12 weeks, and then we'll go into another cycle. So it's the periodization. You heard me talk about that earlier. So a periodization means, think about an athlete. Okay, so let's talk about Tom Brady. I refer to him a lot. And the reason why is because he's well known. He's very, it's known that he is extremely conscious and intentional of how he lives his life and what he eats. And there's an intention and purpose behind it. However, I am quite certain that his life looks really different when he's in season. I think it looks different when he's postseason. I think it looks different when he is preseason. You see what I'm saying? So that's what kind of periodization does, is you periodize through these things. And that's the same thing with macro. You kind of rotate through these different numbers. So like when Tom Brady is preseason, he's, training, he's recovering, his body is, they're replenishing the glycogen stores and all that stuff. When he's in season, we want to make sure, I'm sure his coaches are making sure that his rest is on point, that he is fueled properly, that, his macro intake is probably a little bit higher. I mean, so I am quite certain that, he does these periodizations as well. As a personal trainer, when I was training clients, I would periodize my clients. For 6 weeks, we would focus on endurance. The next 6 weeks, we would focus on strength. The next 6 weeks, we would focus on balance. And periodization, your body likes that. It doesn't like to multitask, let me tell you. So when somebody says to me, I want to lose fat and gain muscle, you got to choose one, because your body will not do both. Truth, okay? So at the end of the day, you have to go through cycles. So like right now, I am in a refeed. So will I gain a couple pounds? Maybe. Am I going to kick ass in the gym? Absolutely, because my carbohydrates have been increased from 140 a day to 200, and I'll probably go to 235. And when my carbohydrates are really high, my performance in the gym is amazing. Okay, and so do I want to perform well? Absolutely. Are you somebody that goes to the gym? Do you have to be an exerciser and be somebody that goes to the gym to have results and be effective with macros? No. It all is based on your level of activity. So my intake is based on my level of activity and what my goals are in the gym. Okay, so as I came out of this cut going into the refeed, I was really excited because I knew that it was going to help my performance, that I was going to do better, that I was going to be able to lift more. And what happens when you do that? Your body changes because you're able to do more. And so then when we come out of this phase, then it'll be interesting to see what comes out of the next cut. Do you see what I'm saying? So, I'm just sharing my personal stuff, So when it comes to the macros, this is the range that I have been in. My protein has been as low as 135 and as high as 155. My carbohydrates have been as low as 140 and as high as 235. My fats have been as low as 50 and as high as 85. So it's been within this range, okay? And it's been different. I'd have weeks of, saying that this number, that the next week we would change it because of A, B, C, or D. Or, we would, in the very beginning, the first 4 months, we were slowly and gradually increasing those numbers because I needed to be refed, because I was underfeeding my body. Okay. So I could have never have done it without my coach, ever. I would have never, with all the knowledge and experience that I have had, I would have never been able to do it without him, ever. And I think about that. I'm like, I am so grateful for this experience because he's taught me a lot. And now I'm able to kind of pass on this knowledge, not just through my experience, because I've done this personally and I'm doing it. I'm still doing it and getting the certification in it. And now I'm able to help others with it. So I'm going to put together, I'm going to type this up for you so you can try to, put some macros together on your own. However, I'm going to tell you two things. Number one, if you missed my highly discounted rate for my Power of 3 program, I had it for 4 days, super discounted for my community. That means the people in this group only were given that offer. I haven't released it to the public yet, but if you are somebody that thinks like, hey, you know what? I think I want to learn more about myself and the biofeedback and getting in tuned, and I really want to kind of go, down that road. I'm going to put that back out there for you at $27. Now that's huge. People kept messaging me saying, is that a typo? And it's not. So if you want to take advantage of that, after I hang up with you, I'm going to go into my little back office. I'll change the price. I'm just going to change it until midnight tonight. And then it goes back to the regular price. Okay. So if you want to hop on the Power of 3, it's $27. I mean, there's like 15 modules in there. It's pretty amazing. Take what you need from it and don't what you don't. You know what I mean? With regards to the macros, I just want to recap this really quick. You could be somebody that wants to lose fat. Maybe you want to maintain, maybe you want to gain. Okay. So I'm going to give you just a simplified layman's kind of a non-technical type of calculation that you can do. And I'm going to give you just a little breakdown of, what you want to do with that actual calculation. Okay. Because within those 3 segments, it's going to be different caloric intakes. Okay. And so I'll type it all out for you. Will I have it up tonight? I'm not really sure because I have to submit my case studies to my certification, but I will have it up by tomorrow for sure. If you are somebody that's like, you know what, I really want to make a change. I'm really interested in, the macro coaching, or if you're somebody that feels like you need more of a overall type of coaching as well. I have the higher end coaching, which is my lifestyle and nutrition coaching as well. And that is more in depth. It's extremely, you just have more access to things. You have more access to me. And, so there's different levels of coaching. You have different options. And now that I have the macro coaching that I'm adding in, that's another option for you. Okay. So, any questions that you might have? Let's see here. How long do you recommend a refeed to establish metabolism? Well, it's going to depend on the person. And I would say at least 12 weeks. I would say 12 to 16 weeks. However, I can say this. I know that, there are some clients of mine that I'm working with, and we're already noticing even after about a week and a half to 2 weeks, where she went from basically zero hunger to crazy hunger. And so that's really, really good. So what does that tell me? That's a marker of telling me, hey, ghrelin is now alive. We're now piping up, we're perking up these hormones, and things are starting to work. So that was really great news. So I had to immediately adjust her macros. And then we were able to balance her out. Okay. So then therefore she didn't feel like she was going to, chomp her arm off. I have a couple other ladies that I'm working with, and it's been a much slower process. And we're probably in, maybe 12 weeks, and we are still gradually increasing. Okay. And so it takes time. Here's the other factor too, Dave, that I want to mention, is that it depends on where their head is with food. It depends on where the relationship is with food. Now, this is another tip. Write this down, you guys, is that when you figure out what your macros are, you want to be within 5. So let's say your protein is, you give yourself 100 grams of protein to eat a day. Then you want to make sure that you go no less than 95 and no higher than 105. So you have a range, so you can kind of go in between there. Macros is very, it's awesome because it's structured flexibility. Obviously food quality is important, but if I ever want to eat a cookie, or if I want to have a piece of pizza, or all of that whole, it helped me relieve myself of all of that. Oh, I ate a cookie. I'm a loser. You know what I'm saying? Because if it fit into my macros and I still feel good about everything at the end of the day, then it's totally okay. But if it fit into my macros and it made me feel like shit, then I'm not going to repeat that. You see what I'm saying? So back to what I was saying is that it depends on the person, because sometimes, like for me in the beginning of this process, I'm going to be honest with you, I was sitting in my backyard and I looked at my sister-in-law and I said, I don't know if I can do this. This is no way to live. Those were my exact words. I don't know if I can handle all this food. And it wasn't even that much food. That wasn't that much more food. It was just more consistency. And that's the thing, is your body needs consistency, you guys, within 5, and be consistent. Stop starting over. Stop having shiny ball syndrome. Stop just, wishing for it to happen. Just if you're consistent and you just stay on course, it will happen. So it depends on the person. It depends on the, how willing they are to be within 5. I'll be honest. In those first 6 weeks, I was all over the map. If you saw my chart, because that's what I do, is I also do with my clients, is I actually duplicated the chart that my coach gave me. You have this chart and you fill in your numbers. I was not within 5 for weeks. And he basically said to me, listen, I can't help you. If you are not going to be within 5, we're wasting our time. So he said, he talked to me in business terms, and he knew that when he said this, that it would resonate with me. He said, you want to get your return on investment. You're a businesswoman. You want the ROI. So you're investing in me. You're invested in yourself. So stop messing around and get your damn numbers within 5. And after he said that to me, I was like, you know what? You're right. Why am I doing this? This is ridiculous. Why am I not going within 5? Like, silly me. And the minute that I did, that's when the magic started to happen. But he gave me grace. He gave me like 6 weeks to try and get my shit together. Same thing with my clients. This is why I'm empathetic with them as well, because I understand the transition is not very easy. It's not. When you go from this amount to this amount, and even if it's just an increase of 100 calories a day, it's almost like, oh my God, because we've demonized food so much, and then once I started like seeing a difference in the gym and the way that I felt, for me, it's about the way that I feel. It's all about the way that I feel. And the body transformation, that's just an extra bonus, right? Really, that's to be honest. Okay. So I hope that helps, Dave. If there's anything else that I didn't answer, comment. Macros you're taking about, no, this is not a keto diet. No, keto serves a purpose for, people that are insulin resistant. Keto is no carbs. This is a lot more carbs. Okay. Keto is high fat. Do I put people on keto if I feel that they need it? Sure. People that have PCOS and things like that, if I'm trying to, get their body in a certain direction, that's a protocol that I will use. But I personally don't think, my take on keto is I just don't think that it's something that is conducive to anybody's lifestyle. I personally don't want to eat cheese and salami every day. You know what I'm saying? So no, keto is high fat. This is about protein, carbohydrates, and fat. So it's a combination of all the nutrients. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Anything on menopause? You know what? This does not, I'm trying to think, do I talk about, there is not a specific module on menopause, but I may talk about it. I probably talk about fat intake when it comes to menopause. However, if there is somebody that you are close to and know that if they're having a hard time with menopause, that is definitely something that I specialize in as well. And it is, again, also very specific. Generally, people, that are menopausal, they're very stress sensitive. Okay. So you want to make sure that, that they're keeping their stressors down in their life, that they're doing restorative work, deep breathing, baths, meditation, that sort of thing. A lot of times too, they might also be insulin resistant as well. You know what I mean? So I call menopause kind of like a shitstorm. It's kind of a cruel joke, and so each person, again, is different. But stress is huge. Stress is a huge factor. So, okay. Let's see here. Who else? The consistency is huge. Yep. Yes, you're very welcome. Absolutely. Okay. So once I hang up with you, I have to go in my back office. I'll switch over that price. It's $27. That's a no-brainer. I mean, even if you get one like great tip out of it, you know what I mean? That's amazing. And I will just have that rate up until 12 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Then it will go back to the regular rate, and I'll be probably releasing that to the public this week. With regard to the macro kind of cheat thing that I was telling you guys about, I'm going to double check something because I didn't want to, I kind of was like, wait, I don't know if I did that right. And then I'll type that up and then I'll put that in the files in here. Then you can take it and print it up. And if you are somebody that is curious about my coaching and would like to possibly, you know, just kind of find out what it is that I do or how it could work for you, you comment below and we can schedule a no obligation discovery call. Okay. So I take my time with discovery calls. You know, I go over any questions that you might have. If you're somebody that's looking for, you know, just to kind of get off that hamster wheel to nowhere, and if you're stuck and frustrated, having a coach is what it's all about. I mean, I have a coach. You know, I will always have a coach. I have a business coach. I have a macro coach. I have a coach at the gym. Why? Because I invest in myself. Because my goals, I have a specific place that I want to be business-wise and personal-wise. And so in order for me to be that desired version of myself, then I have to invest in myself. It's kind of like saying, you know, oh, hey, I'm going to go run a marathon, but I'm going to go buy my tennis shoes at Payless. That's not in alignment. You would want to go to Hanson's or something, right? You'd want to go to the person that specializes in that. You know what I'm saying? And so you have to make sure that what your goals are, that your actions are in alignment with that goal. You know what I'm saying? And so the other fact is don't be afraid to invest in yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's like, sure, yeah, you know, you're going to spend some money, but you're going to get your ROI. You're going to get your return on investment, you know? And so the investment that I have put into my coaches, have I gotten my return? Absolutely. Totally happy, you know, and I am going to continue to invest in them because I want to continue. I haven't finished the race yet. You know, is there really a final destination? No. I want to continue to have this accountability as well. I want to continue to have somebody that's saying, hey, Cal, you know, you got here, now let's get you here. You're here, let's keep moving up that ladder. That's what it's about for me, you know? And so I want to instill that in you. Don't ever feel guilty for investing in yourself. That makes me crazy. You know, when people say, well, I don't know about, you know, it's like, what do you mean? Invest in yourself for Pete's sakes. You know? So, all right. We've been on here for almost an hour, which I had a feeling we would be for, you know, this amount of time. So I'm going to wrap it up. Again, thank you for joining. If you have any questions that come up, please comment below with them. But I'll just repeat one more time. I will put a link in here for you to check out the Power 3 program. I'm going to change the price for 3 hours from now until midnight Eastern Standard Time. So you can, if you missed the special or if you're just hearing about it for the first time, you can go ahead and take advantage of that pre-launch rate. Okay. I will also put together this kind of cheat thing. I'll type it up, put it in the files. You can print it. Actually, I won't put it in the files. I'll put it in I think I can put it in the announcements. So whatever it is that I do, I will let you guys know and say, hey, this is where you can find that information. Okay, so I hope that helped. I hope that gave you some clarity. Once again, there's the intuitive style versus the contrast of the macros. And it really is, it's in depth. It's not, you know, it's not as easy as just saying, let me just throw some numbers out there. You know, so there's a lot more that goes into it than people realize. Okay. And if you want to set up a discovery call, just comment below. No obligation. You know, we can talk about it. We can talk about where you are and where you want to be, and we can see if it's a good fit for you. You know, I have, you know, 2 levels of coaching, and then I have that program. Okay. All right. So we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again for your time. Talk to you later. Bye.